Hi CP, Anna the Joyful Reader here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to talk about 3 Victoria Schwab books, City of Ghosts, This Savage Song, and The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. And then at the end, we're gonna talk a little bit about my experience just reading Victoria Schwab as a whole. This is the first episode of my series called My First Time, where I read a few books from an author I've never read before and then kind of report back to you guys. So this is a little bit of like a book report, an author review, book review combined. So I hope that you enjoy this video. Let me know if you've read Victoria Schwab and how your experience was in reading these books or any of her other books. Also let me know if I should read any other of her books just in case I missed some hidden gems in her repertoire. I think anybody who likes supernatural things like ghosts, vampires, zombies, anything like that would really get a kick out of Victoria Schwab's books, especially her middle grade. They are an easy read with a fascinating story with little nuggets of just like wisdom and truth in them, and I really appreciate that. If you haven't read City of Ghosts is a story where we follow Cassie Blake and her parents who are doing this TV show where they go to infamously spooky cities and haunted cities and just kind of make a TV show out of the historically spooky place. And Cassidy has a rare ability where she is able to see ghosts. This happened to her after she had an accident and nobody knows this truth about her. And it's a story of self-discovery as to why does she have this, not just how did she get this ability, but why does she have it? Is there a greater purpose to it? What is happening beyond, you know, the physical world that we can see? And in the story, her best friend is a ghost. Again, the relationships are so good in this book. There's humor that is just really heartwarming. The timing and the pacing of the story is excellent. The overlying themes of accepting who you are, loving who you are, of themes of like having good friendships and strong family bonds is just really beautiful in these books, and having a spooky paranormal packaging makes it just really fun. So it's really great. Again, A+ for the middle grade book. I loved it a lot. So I'm gonna insert a few clips here of me sharing some passages I had just read of City of Ghosts so you guys can see kind of my interaction with that book. One of the ways that the author makes it really conversational is by doing little asides. So I don't know a single person that tells a smooth linear story without giving a little tangent here and there. And so this is just an example of this. So I'm just gonna read this section. It says, Alice and Melanie are popular kids. You can tell because they look like copies. Same shiny hair, same perfect teeth, same painted nails, where I'm all elbows and knees, rounded cheeks, and curly brown hair. I don't even own nail polish. I know you're supposed to want to be one of the popular kids, but the truth is, I never have. It just seems like it would be exhausting trying to keep up with all the rules. Smile, but not too wide. Laugh, but not too loud. Wear the right clothes, play the right sports, care about things, but never care too much. Jacob and I have rules too, but those are different. I love that. I love the little asides. It sounds just like a teenager would talk, and I love it. So in this section, Cass is trying to take a picture of her best friend Jacob, who is a ghost, and it's so cute. I tap my fingers against the camera, wondering if any of the photos I took in the veil today will come out. I tap my fingers against the camera. I know there's only one picture left on the roll. Smile, I tell him, and Jacob throws up a peace sign. He doesn't look at the camera when I take the picture. He never does. Haven't you heard? He likes to tease. Pictures steal souls. Besides, it's not like I'll show up. Click. We walk on, and a few minutes later, our house comes into sight. One of those old Victorians that look like they should be haunted. It's not haunted, except for Jacob. He doesn't count. Rude, he mumbles, following me inside. I just think that's so cute. Oh, so good. I love just the wittiness and the conversationalist. Oh, it's just so good. I love the writing. It's so good. I love it. In this section, Cass is talking about how she has this vintage camera and how much she loves it, and then she gets into some kind of accident and it kind of breaks a little bit. She starts to talk about and relate to the camera and she says, the camera, it was damaged but not ruined, changed but not destroyed, kind of like me. And I think what that is so just applicable to life. We go through things that make us feel heartbroken and make us feel like we can't achieve our dreams, and we get disappointed, and it changes us, and we might get a little bit damaged but we're not destroyed, and we might happen to change something but we're not ruined. And I just, oh, it's so good, so good. Okay, so then there's another Cass quote where she says, every time I get nervous or scared, I remind myself that every good story needs twists and turns. Every heroine needs an adventure. This is one of her dad's sayings. She says, nothing happens until it happens, and then it's already happening. It's such a dad thing to say. No, it's just so good. It's so true. And it's a reminder about living in the present and just not letting your worries and your anxieties rule your life, because those worries, those anxieties, they aren't happening, at least not in this moment. So focus on the present, stay here, right here, on the present. So A+ for Victoria Schwab in her middle grade range. I am kind of biased in that because I really love middle grade books, and I think that I think a really well done middle grade book is better than a lot of like adult and young adult fiction. Just powerful themes, powerful storytelling is just encapsulated in a really good middle grade book. There's not much for me that like supersedes that. I think just the pacing of it has to be quick, has to catch your attention. There are typically more mature themes within middle grade books that are being kind of taught to children through these stories. So it's really interesting, and I really enjoy it. It's usually really heartwarming, and there's usually always a happy ending in middle grade fantasy fiction books. And I appreciate that. So the next book that I'm going to reference here just really quickly is This Savage Song. It is a YA. I don't know if it's paranormal romance yet because I'm only about 45% of the way through the book. I'm having a little bit of a hard time getting through it, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But it's not because it's the book's fault. I think it's just reading the same author all together. I'm getting a little like jumbled in my brain and we'll talk about that in a second. From what I can gather so far, this book has two protagonists. We are following a male protagonist who is a monster masquerading as a human in this kind of like apocalyptic society. He was taken in by the leaders of, I think it's North City. I'm sorry if I mix them up. It's like North and South City and I cannot remember. And they're kind of at odds at each other. So there's a little bit of like this political intrigue, this power struggle between the two sides. You have, the humans who are teaming up with monsters to help basically maintain the balance of between good and evil. And then you have the human side, which I think is South City. I don't remember. But in South City, we follow our protagonist, our female protagonist, Kate, and she is human, but does monstrous, violent things because her father is the head of that faction, while August, the male protagonist, his family is the head of the faction in the South, the North. I got those so confused, but there's like, a Romeo and Juliet star-crossed relationship going on, very much so. So far, it's fine. It's a really interesting read. The concept is really interesting. So whenever there is a heinous, violent occurrence, a monster is born out of that hatred. And so far in the book, it's kind of phrased as like, this happened in nature to balance out the good and evil that's happening in the world, because humans are being so evil. The universe was like, bam, here's some monsters. If you're gonna act like one, well, we're gonna create some to come after you to equalize the food chain, I guess. This book is very bloody. This book is very violent. This book is very angsty. It's definitely capturing 16 and 17-year-old emotions, what they would be like in these scenarios. So I think kudos to that because it's very much on par with that. As a 33-year-old, I don't relate too much to those emotions. So for me, it's not as enjoyable as the middle grade for me. Does that mean I can relate to children more than I can relate to teenagers? Probably. So then on to the book of the season, which is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Okay, friends. Oh, before I go into this, for this Savage Song, I do tend on finishing the book. It is entertaining and it has a great premise. It's not a book that I would probably ever revisit and like reread it, but it's like, it's decent, it's good. It's good. I don't know if I said this already, but if you love like the Vampire Diaries, supernatural, I think anything that's like popular paranormal media, any of those types of media, I think that people would like this book. It's totally, I don't want to say palatable because it makes it kind of sound, it's a great book. It's good. It's just for me, a preference is like, yeah, okay. Again, I haven't gotten to the twist. I haven't gotten to like the drop, right? Because I'm only about 45% of the way in. So we'll see if I change my mind later. Stay tuned for my wrap up, but I will finish the book and figure out if for that specific book, if I would like it again. Back onto Addie LaRue. I'm going to post this video, just general overview of Victoria Schwab, and then I'm going to post just an individualized rant review of this book because I have a lot of thoughts. So this book in short is about Addie LaRue, who, to escape societal pressures to get married and societal constructs that she's supposed to be just like stay in her small town French village, she wanted more for her life. She's very much like a belle in her town where she's just like, this isn't me, I don't fit in here, I don't want this life. And so on the night that she's promised for this arranged marriage, she runs away and she, you know, prays to the god who answers at night, even though she's been advised not to do that by the local shawwoman, shawwoman, I don't know what you would classify her as, but she's been advised not to do that because there's always a heavy price. But in her desperation, she makes a deal with Luke, who is, I think, representative of a devil, or she basically tells him, I want freedom, she says, I want the freedom to do all the things I want to do with no restraints. And so he's like, are you sure that's what you want? And she says, yeah, that's what I want. And then he gives it to her. But for this book, I'm going to go ahead and insert some of my experience reading it, vlog-ish style. I'll insert some of those clips right here. I am on page 50, and so far I'm really enjoying it. I just reached the point where the deal has been made. So moving forward, I have no idea what to expect. So this pretty much gets you to like what the synopsis gives you. First of all, the writing is beautiful, stunning. It is exquisitely, sufficiently flowery. I like it a lot. I woke up an hour early so I could, oh my gosh, I'm like still, oh my gosh, my morning voice. The last 60 pages have been really difficult. I just feel really bad for Addie. She definitely got what she asked for and didn't realize the implications of what she asked for. Addie's position right now reminds me a lot of Fatine from Les Miserables, and oh my gosh, I told you guys, I am a very sensitive reader, and I just feel really bad for her. Addie has gone from her small village to like her mid-sized town, and now she is landed herself in Paris, hoping that she can live a better life, and she is having a trouble she's just having a lot of troubles in the big city. And again, like I mentioned, Victoria Schwab does tell you that things are gonna get better before she like drags you down to hell. The twist right in the middle of the book completely turned me off. In this story, we start off just from Addie's perspective, and then it kind of like switches back and forth between Addie and then Henry, another person in this story. I can tell you right now, this is going to be hit or miss for a lot of people. Either you're going to really relate to the emotions of our characters, or you're not going to. And if you don't relate to their emotional drives and their stories even a little bit, you're not gonna like this book. There's a specific sentimentality to each of the main characters, both Henry and Addie, and if you're not feeling related to them, you won't like this book. You won't like it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with this book. I feel like this is a book I would never rate, and it's also a book I could never recommend to someone, not because it's not good, but because this book deals so much with the internal emotions, the internal thoughts, and the processes of these characters' minds, and it's like pretty personal and very deep. And so if you don't relate to those experiences, those thoughts, those feelings, this isn't going to be the book for you. I don't think it's reflective of Victoria Schwab as a whole. I don't think. Again, I've only read now 3 of her books, 2.5. I've only read 2.5 of her books. So let's wrap this up just to make this a nice, concise video. Would I pick up Victoria Schwab again? Yes, I definitely would. However, I would definitely wait until other people read the books first to kind of know what I'm getting myself into. In reading her books back to back to back, there is not much of a difference between her adult and her young adult writing. I will say her adult writing is a little bit more flowery. The content is a little bit more sexually mature. The atmosphere of the book is a bit, no, I would say this Savage Song is a pretty dark atmosphere. Both books are not like comfort reads. They're very much about the human state of the world. In this Savage Song, you have, you know, a dissolved United States. It's basically apocalyptic, so much violence happening around you. In Addie LaRue, even though it's not set in like a paranormal situation, you get a taste of the underbelly of humankind. And so definitely her stories have a lot of meat to them. And if you're a reader that prefers less meat and more story, then you'd enjoy her middle grade more, where she's touching some themes, but really it's just an adventure story and a personal growth and a coming of age story, and it's much more palatable. But in the young adult and her adult fiction that I've read, you're definitely getting like a heavier taste of just this other side of human nature in her books. I mean, essentially she's doing a paranormal realism and really showcasing the darker side of humankind. So as an author overall, would I pick up her books again? Definitely. So that's it for today's video. I wanted to keep this pretty short and concise so you can kind of decide for yourself. I will be posting in a couple days my review. I will look exactly the same because I'm gonna post it back to back. I will be posting a rant review of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, so stay tuned for that. If you haven't subscribed yet, feel free to subscribe, hit the thumbs up if you like this video. If you've read a Victoria Schwab book that you think that I would like, feel free to leave your recommendation, or if there's an author that you think I would like, or that's similar to Victoria Schwab, please let me know so I can check them out as well. Thanks so much. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.